Hello. Today's show can certainly affect your life. In fact, it could possibly even save your life. The topic, domestic violence. Hi, welcome back. I am so honored to have Dr. Andrew Jacono, who is going to tell us about his practice. I will say that he is certified in two areas, facial plastic surgery as well as reconstructive.
Yes.
And he's been honored by being you're honored one of the best from Castle Connolly for the work that you're doing. Mm-hmm. You are located in both Great Neck and Manhattan, and you have a spa as well.
Sure.
And what I'd like to talk about with you today, I have to talk a little bit about plastic surgery. I do also want to talk about your reconstructive work and the beautiful things that you're doing for people and making a difference in their lives and all the lives that are being touched. Face to face. I have a couple of videos, but I do want to ask you a little bit about it before I set up the first video. May
Sure.
I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about face to face.
Yes.
How it got started. I know you're the chairman.
Yeah, so face to face has been around before me, but I'm the current national chairman.
Okay.
And basically, it's an organization that was started by the American Academy of Facial Plastic and Reconstructive Surgeons, because unfortunately in this country, domestic violence is endemic, and it is not only in this country, probably all over the world.
All over the world.
It's you know, it's unfortunate. It's a reality that we deal with. But what does happen is that when women are finally outside of their abusive relationships, they can't get the care that they require. And the reason why, I mean, in terms of all the injuries that they've had burn injuries, they get lacerations, they get cut, they get their noses broken, their cheekbones fractured. People are more aware of it today because of all the stuff that happened with Rihanna and Chris Brown.
Right.
So that really put things front and center, because it was like this young couple, and that picture that was all over the the national press made people realize how common it is. So the point of it is that there was no way for these women to get care. So our organization, the AFPRS, which I'm a part of, decided to create a group of surgeons who would be willing to donate their time and services to be able to reconstruct these women, because they're often left without health insurance when they leave their abusive relationships. And even if they do have health insurance, a lot of health insurance companies won't pay for reconstructive surgery.
And they can't get jobs the way that they look. And
yeah, but not only that, but it destroys their self-esteem. So even if they
we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. And there are approximately 300 doctors who participate in this. Is that correct?
Yeah, now that's right. Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I'd like to show you a video. There's so much that we can cover in here. This is a 54-year-old Long Island woman by the name of Karen. It's not a real name, obviously. And she's camouflaged. Very important, because she feels that she's going to be able to change her husband. So let's take a look at this.
This is the CW11 News at 10.
She was a victim of domestic violence who survived a vicious attack. Well, with the help of a Long Island plastic surgeon, she has been given a new lease on life. Now she's sharing her story in the hopes of helping others who are suffering. Emily Francis is here now with her inspiring story. Emily?
Thank you very much, Jim. Great Neck-based facial plastic surgeon Dr. Andrew Jacono says 20% of his practice is reconstructive surgery for cancer patients and domestic violence victims. In his quest to make a difference, he performs pro bono surgeries for people like the brave woman you're about to meet.
I'm a product of domestic violence. He beat me with a brick. There's a lot of scar tissues that has healed on the outside, but it hasn't fully healed on the inside.
This 54-year-old Long Island woman is taking a stand against domestic violence. She does not want to show her face or share her identity, so we will call her Karen.
I loved him and I thought I could change him, but I didn't know who I really was.
So, do you know who you are now?
Yes, I do.
Who are you?
I'm a very strong woman who's trying to help other women going through what I am going through.
The wounds Karen endured at the hands of her ex-husband were so severe she had to get skin grafts on her scalp.
You know what? Dr. Jacono, very powerful, and we took a piece of this. Your reaction. Where is Karen today? Do you keep in touch with people that you work on? What's the lowdown?
Yeah, I mean, I always see my patients for years after they have surgery, so we keep in touch. She's doing great. The surgery went very, very well. And the thing is what I see over and over again with these patients is that even after they're out of an abusive relationship, it's the permanent scars that are the constant reminder of what they've been through. So it's very hard to move on emotionally when every day when you look in the mirror, you see that person who inflicted
Still
all these
see it.
injuries on you.
Right.
So I think it's an important part of the recovery process for people who have been, victims of domestic
Am I
violence.
correct in knowing that you wait a year for a person to be out of domestic abuse
Yeah.
before you will operate, and what is the reason why?
Because people wind up going back to the same person who they were with,
Okay.
and then they wind up literally destroying it. And I've had that happen to patients where
You
they've had
have?
major reconstructive surgery, and then they'll go back to their spouse or boyfriend, and then they'll just, and it's a control issue. So
Yes.
the whole point is that if it gets fixed, they're going to destroy it, because what they want to do is they want to keep somebody psychologically down,
Right, right.
so that they don't feel strong enough to leave them,
Control.
and then they don't feel like anybody would love them. So that's kind of it's not verbalized, but that's really
But
where it
that's
comes
really,
from.
well, when we come back from commercial, we have a representative from the Suffolk County Coalition for Domestic Violence, and she's going to get into this, and I hope that everybody will join and jump into the conversation, and she's going to share with us, some of the programs that they have, and there are people that are in abusive relationships that aren't even aware of it. So we're going to touch upon that too, and we think, how can that be? Because there are so many different types of abuse. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned. It's going to be very powerful. Hi, welcome back. We have now joining us Shannon Rigney from the Suffolk County Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Hi, guys.
You are a 501c3. I was surprised. The good news is that 7,000 people in Suffolk County, 7,000 women, are being helped. The bad news is 7,000 people. I was amazed to hear that kind of number. And those numbers are probably not totally reflecting.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more
Probably a
people
lot
that
more.
we don't even get a chance to serve.
What I want to discuss with you is the type of abuse that is existing. I do, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this, and as an educator, knowing I've had male students who are also abused, we're concentrating today on female abuse. But it can fit, and it hits all people, from all economic backgrounds, all ages. Am I correct?
Yes.
Help me out here. Am I
course,
on the
yeah.
right track?
It could definitely affect anybody, no matter age, race, gender, socioeconomic status. It goes across the board.
Fear, embarrassment of people finding out, knowing about it, disclosing it, fear of losing your job, all of this keeping people perhaps from sharing it. I looked at some of the different areas, and I was surprised because I didn't know it covered all. We know, of course, that there is physical abuse, sexual abuse, economic. We don't let your partner, be it male or female, have a job because you're keeping that person, as Dr. Jacono aptly said, controlling that person. But I was a little more surprised to find out that someone can actually suffocate you with too much attention, and that's considered a form of abuse.
Yeah, that could definitely be part of it, especially if it's that controlling behavior where they're looking over everything you're doing, all the time, really keeping track of your moves. That's definitely a form of abuse.
And also maybe if you have children or it's a remarriage and you want to protect your child, give your child everything you could have. Or even threatening the pets. Have you seen that quite often?
Yeah, we definitely see that a lot where the abuser even threatens or hurts the pets, or the person doesn't want to leave their pet with them, if they're looking to leave the home. So it's something that they really have to plan out in that
I
case.
mention this, Shannon, because many times people say, I don't get it. You're being abused. Get up and walk out. And I know it is not that easy. I do have some difficulty with it as well because, 1 out of 2 people stays in that particular relationship. But explain a little bit more to us.
Yeah, that's the first reaction a lot of people have when someone they see and that they love is suffering, abuse by their loved one. But people are afraid really to leave because of physical injury, for their physical safety. They've been suffering, hearing a lot of threats being made to them, their kids, their family, their ex-partners.
And then to start all over again, economically, to lose everything.
Definitely.
And I was going to ask you about sometimes, and I thought this was the case, is you're too young. Anybody remember the head of Nussbaum? where she started to be with the captive and listen to him and the control and believe in him and being beaten down so much she didn't know what happened to her. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, people get, it's a cycle really that just keeps happening over and over and getting more severe. So if you're living it, it's hard to really recognize it from the inside perspective, from inside. But when someone looks at it from the outside, they see it very clearly.
So if you have somebody you suspect is being abused, call the hotline. What's the hotline number?
Right, our hotline is 631-666-8833. It's staffed 24 hours a day and night. So, you always get someone to talk to, someone that will help explain your options, go over the situation, and it's all confidential within the agency, so definitely a good resource to
Well, we
turn to.
mentioned different types of abuse, and I had, the emotional, the sexual, physical, but, there's another type of abuse today, and because of social media, that also is coming into play.
Right.
Would you agree?
Right. Definitely. People use, social
Computers,
media, Facebook,
Facebook.
Twitter, YouTube. We see a lot of people dealing with that type of abuse, which is actually very difficult to deal with because there's not a lot that can be done maybe through the courts or police about that, which is it's kind of hard for people.
Well, let's say you live with somebody, and now and there may be somebody watching right now who's really scared, and that person you live with is watching every single thing that you have on the computer. There is software for them to do this, isn't there?
Right.
So what do you do?
A lot of times I'll, definitely make it a point to talk to people about being open with each other, giving them that safe place to go. Like say you have a computer, you can let someone use your phone, to do things that they would have to do that might be unsafe for them to do at home or on their own device. Go to libraries,
Okay, try to get away from the situation. Never put on Facebook anything that you feel in this particular realm, because it will be seen. It will be reported back. Am I correct with that? Same thing with telephones. If you hit, star 69, get information, and there's 89,
the number,
and that, okay, there's 89 if you want, 89 if you want to get rid of that information. You don't want someone to see the information from before. These are things that you have to be aware of.
Definitely.
Now, you also work with teens and children, but I do have to mention some of the services you have. Please jump in if you would like to make a comment about it. You have, first of all, it's safety. Safety first. First thing I would do, call the police. Call 911, then the hotline. But the first thing you want to do, if it's for safety.
If it's definitely,
okay.
If you're in a dangerous situation, there's something that needs to be reported, someone needs to come mediate the situation, call 911.
You are involved in the courts. In fact, you are an advocate. Custody for children, legal rights, food, clothing. Ask you a question, and my mind jumps all over because I don't have a lot of time. Can people donate for this, and can they give you clothing? How does that work? How do they do that?
We do accept donations. You can always call our main office number, which is 631-666-7181, to talk about donating items, whether it be clothes, money, like any, whatever you're going to donate to us. Call that number to see what we need.
I heard of a church donating paper goods like toilet paper, things that you wouldn't even think of that people take for granted. They have nothing. They leave with nothing but the clothes on the back, toys for children. And speaking of which, involved in the courts, correct?
Well, we have a shelter. So that would probably go to the shelter, the kids living in the shelter at that time. So that's definitely important because there's a lot of kids that do go in and out of there and, they need toys, they need, items, resources, so.
And you're conversant with face-to-face, you said, correct? You're somewhat familiar with that. You're going to get even more connected, I'm hoping after the show, so that we can bring everybody together. What is your final advice in this area for our viewers? There could be somebody sitting there scared or knowing of somebody.
Well, it's important just to really plan for your safety. Whatever is safe for you is what you need to do. And that's important for people, helping people who are also going through it too.
Your children, right? You have to protect those babies. You have to think about them.
So it's definitely, I just want to say, it's important to know that when a person leaves a domestic violence situation is the most dangerous time for them.
Okay.
Because that's when you're taking the power and control away from the abuser. So you just want to be really careful at that time, planning it out. So that's why you can also call us, call the advocates, and we'll go over
a lot of details.
Women?
How brave are they? And then Dr. Jacono, they come to you, This takes a very courageous person to do this, and these people should be encouraged and honored for that.